How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you another episode review and recap of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Today's episode is episode 18, known as Separate Journeys. And before I continue, I would like to ask if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, give me a like, and I always welcome comments down below. I like engaging with you guys, whether I agree or disagree, whether you agree or disagree. That's the point of having a conversation, guys. So, man, it's only 18 episodes, but this is more than a lot of animes. Their season ends and caps at 12. This has been pretty dang good. Um, Remember last time that, and we get a quick little shot. I love how quick this is. I wish other anime were as good and succinct as Mushoku Tensei is, especially when talking about old stuff, because we just see the most important part. Rudeus and Paul hugging each other and having a good cry about. Well, Paul's having a good cry, but Rudy's not crying. He's just happy to be hugging his dad. And they're on the journey on the countryside. Eris, Eris and Rudy are on one horse, and Ruijerd is on the other. And Eris is like, "Man, I'm hungry," and it's kind of like, okay, so they're gonna stop. But a guy shows up, and I purposely wrote this down. They encounter the North God Kalman's pupil, Auber. He's the Peacock Blade's third apprentice, Rodriguez. That's a long ass title. He's challenging Ruijerd because he looks big and strong. He has this big old strong spear. Uh, Ruijerd is a practitioner of, is it North God style? I forget the type of fighting style he practices because I'm guessing that the sword styles can also correlate with using spears like he does. They said, "Man, it's been a while since I've had been called out to spar like this," and they have a spar match. We don't see it, but we do see dudes beating up Bruce's face, and he's like, "Man, I lost, but that was a good match." It's it's uh, it's pretty cool being able to spar with this. What do they call it again? A super. They're spreading the word. He gets a statue, and then another guy shows up. Flash to him already being beaten. Then another guy shows up, and Ruger just kind of looking like, So they're spreading the word pretty quickly because it's not, it with him fighting people and not trying to kill them. That kind of proves like, yeah, these guys aren't bloodthirsty, and he's making some waves, but that's gonna come up pretty soon towards the end of this episode. So now they're on a ship now in the storm, and of course you know what's gonna happen. Eris is already she already gets seasick and she's just puking her guts out, and this stuff is actually getting to Rudy. Rudeus is thrown up too, but he hints to it being because of the demon eye he has. He can see 3 seconds into the future. I think with or without mana, with the more mana he puts into it, he can see further. But I'm guessing he's still trying to adjust to being on the way because it's really getting to him. But Ruger, he's taking some cover, just reading the map, and Rudy's like, "Are you? So you're not affected by this?" He's like, "No, I actually don't know why either one of you are affected." Can't remember. RJ, I love calling Ruger RJ. RJ is, I think, about 200 years old. Like his demon clan's lifespan is super long. I think Roxy's is close to being that long, but dude's been around for a long time, so this is nothing to him. So they're almost at the central continent. Rudy kind of pokes fun at his father, saying, "Man, okay, so he was good for something because they were even able to get on with Ruijerd." And he's like, "Hey, don't speak ill of your dad." He's like, "It's okay. That's just kind of how our relationship is." And he's saying, anyway, since we're gonna be there, the roads are pretty nice in the central continent. We don't have to, worry too much about anything. So let's just enjoy our journey. But of course, the main focus is finding my family and getting your reputation up to the highest point. He's like, RJ all smiles. He's like, yeah, of course, this is good. I'm very worried when we have some decent stuff like this that something is going to go awry. So I've seen some promotional stuff go up that I'm I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see what the hell is going to happen. So inside the mind of Rudy, because I think it's funny that he was when he was throwing up, it was half the voice he has now, which is has a female voice actor, and it is half the voice in his head, the grown man in his head that we always hear speaking, and they're you can hear both of them throwing up, but now we're just hearing them speak because Zenith is still missing. There's no word on Aisha or Lilia or Sylvia. He doesn't even know if Ghislaine is even alive or not. And he's thinking, maybe once we get to Fitora or yeah, Fitora, maybe they're all there and they're all alive. And he acknowledges this is way too optimistic of thinking, but being negative about everything is really not gonna help. It's not gonna help his mood or his psyche. So screw it. I'm gonna be optimistic, and I love that. That is a very real world way of dealing with issues, especially when things are outside of your power and outside of your command. You can either, be brutally realistic, which doesn't help anyone. It's good for you to be prepared, but having a negative connotation and negative thought about it is not going to help you. So be as positive as you can, but be able to handle the issues that are coming your way. That's part of dealing with the real world, and I appreciate that in this show. Um, he's also believing that Roxy is in the Shirone kingdom on the other side of the King Dragon realm. So he's expecting her to be over there. He doesn't realize that she's actually back in Demon Country where they left before. And, he's believing that he'll be able to see her again. And unfortunately, he throws up. Now, meanwhile, Spirit Fingers for a transition. Uh, Roxy, come back. Roxy here, she's in the Demon Land. She's actually talking to the horse guy that they had to threaten, and it's actually been a full 2 years since then, which would, I guess, that would accurately make Rudy's almost 15 if he's not 15 right now. He hasn't had a birthday party, so kind of afraid for him to have a birthday party because that means it might be some disaster happening. It, tell me I'm wrong. Anyway, he's having a conversation with Roxy saying, you've matured pretty well. And while she thinks it's a gentle rub against her, like, no, no, seriously. It's like an aura or something about you. Because they were discussing about their one friend, the pig orc guy that got killed um, in part one of season one by the giant cobra. Just kind of reminiscing. He's saying, you're pretty mature now. And she's saying, well, I did have to go out and live my life. I was doing things, and on top of that, she's a king class water mage. We do get some fan servicey shots of her crossing her legs and whatnot, but I thought they were fan service, but they was more or less to show to kind of give you a place to highlight because she's when she's calm, showing you how she is when she's calm. She's having a conversation. Um, Horse guy, I don't remember his name. Don't even want to know his name. Horse guy tells her, well, back in the day when we were all together, if I called you mature, you'd have been happy and jumping about it. She was so, concerned about people seeing her as a child. You know, that's just kind of how her ego was. Now that she's, this king class mage, folks are expecting a lot out of her, even to be able to do incantation-less spells. LOL, thinking about Rudy. And she even asked, she said, so what about you? You seem like you've gotten older, talking about his looks. Are you still shaking down new people for money and stuff? You say, well, it's just kind of how adventurers gotta learn. They gotta learn the hard way, right? But he's like, I haven't done that for 2 years though. Ever since I got burned out by this superherd part of the Dead End trio, and she starts freaking out. That was the purpose of focusing on her legs because we see, thinking about the superherds. I don't know what deep dark tales they told when she was younger, but she is like freaking out and she's zoning out. She can't hear horse guy ask her if she visited her family until she finally gets a grip on herself because she I don't know if he knows this, but it's for us to notice that her whole body's trembling. He asks if she visited her family. She's like, no. And he says, I'm going to actually go ahead and take that back. You have not grown. I've had, I got married and had a family and everything, right? And, her whole deal is, her family probably wouldn't care that, she's around. But he's like, look, sometimes you fight, but there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. And I'm pretty sure your family doesn't care that you can't talk to them telepathically. And that was something that I didn't know. I don't know if it was mentioned last season or part one of last time, but she can't. All these guys talk telepathically, and this is something I do remember. That's how they were able to talk to the chief without having to go out and everything. They talk in their minds. These bluish, purplish, indigo hair people, demon people, and he's saying, "Look, just go see them because you never know what's going to happen, and you don't, you need to make up before it's too late. You don't want to regret anything." So the next day she's walking, in the village. It's eerily quiet, like she remembers shells, those giant turtle shells everywhere. You gotta remember, that's the reason why it's quiet, because all these people talk telepathically. There's really no reason for them to move their lips, even though they talk the demon language. They can talk the common language if they choose to. They speak, they learn, they know how to do all these normal things, but there's no need to. And of course, as she's walking by, there are two well, I say older, but older women, not old, but other women, adult women with the child there, trying to talk to her, but she can't hear it. In her head, it just sounds like clicks. And I guess when they realize that she's not going to respond or that maybe she can't hear, they kind of give her this look, and she's like, that's the look they give outsiders. So she's feeling alienated. She's, remembering all of the bad feelings of being there, feeling like an outcast. And she comes upon some children playing, and there's, I guess, these stone pillars. They kind of arch a bit. They're not natural pillars. They're not man-made pillars. They're kind of natural pillars. And the children are playing. They're doing like a hopscotch kind of thing. And she even sees the drawings that she carved herself. One of the kids gets hurt. She comes over without hesitation, hesitates for a second, but then goes ahead and heals the kid with the incantation. I'm assuming that they tried to thank her telepathically, but it's just, that's all it sounds like. It's just a bunch of clicks. Then the parents come over, and I'm going to assume that the kid said, hey, this lady, she healed us, but we're trying to thank her, but she's not saying anything. We can't really hear her say anything back. So she starts freaking out, and she runs. She just runs forward, hides behind one of the houses, and she sees her parents' place. They don't have doors. They have these nice little flaps. It's very Native American-ish in a way, if I can put it like that. Not like those gaudy bead bead dividers that you've seen from like the 60s and 70s. I actually had a roommate that had something similar to that. Not those gaudy things, just nice little flaps. And she comes in, she announces that she's home. Her dad is like quick to run up, but when he notices her demeanor, he doesn't give her a hug. They're both happy that she's there. And she's really awkward. Like she's looking down, not really looking at them, and they're saying, "Yeah, we heard rumors about you," and you know, she can't really, she can hear them talking to each other because they're trying to start a fire. All the clickety clicks and everything, and she's like, "All right, I'm gonna leave," and they're like, "But she literally just got there. She's legitimately alienating herself because you can see the love in her parents' face. They want her to be there." And her mother just takes her hand and says, "Hey, come home every 20 years at least. Remember, they have a long lifespan. Roxy's technically 44. 44 looking like she's 17. So come home every 20 years at least." She's like, she says, "Okay, I'll at least come home. I'll come home in 50 years." And mother's like, "Okay." But then her mother just starts crying. Like she's just full on crying. She's saying sorry, trying to wipe the tears away as they're just flooding. She's saying, "I told myself I wouldn't cry the next time I saw you." And her father, Papa San, just looking pretty sad as well, just watching her mother cry. And she sees in the distance, in like a shelf, the doll she used to play with also had the same indigo hair like all their people do, but also the horse. There's this little horse thing. And we get a cute flashback of tiny Roxy being taught words by her mother, being taught what a horse is. Of course, it's all in Japanese, but what a horse is, what pelt is, and thinking about what a wonderful time they had. And during that time, she had went out to play with other kids, and it was just a bunch of clicking. Like she would say hi to everybody, but it was a bunch of clicking in her head, and parents would come and talk, and she can't hear them. And she had a full on cry with her parents, like, "Am I being a bad girl? Why won't anyone talk to me?" And Mom's like, "You're not a bad girl. You're fine. You didn't do anything wrong." And she said she could see the heartbreak on her parents' face. That's the thing. When you're a kid and you don't get it, her parents aren't sad that she's not like everyone else. They're sad that she feels alienated and that she feels like an outcast because she can't communicate the way that everyone else in the village communicates. I don't know if they're ever going to explain why she can't talk. Maybe it's some type of block or something, but it's pretty sad watching her cry. Now we're back in present day when her mother's crying and she gets a tear and she wipes it away, and then more tears start to come, and she starts to full on cry. Now I'm starting to cry, and they're hugging, and she's like, "I'm so sorry. I ran away without warning, and I didn't tell you." And it was frustrating before she got to the point. It was really frustrating because so wrapped up in she's so wrapped up in feeling alienated to not realize that the people that should matter most to her, they don't really care that she can't communicate like that. And um, at this point, her father, he finally runs up and hugs both of them together. It's not, you can tell this is a very loving man, but he doesn't want to put his daughter in a situation where she doesn't want to hug. But it's obvious this family loves each other, and she even says herself for the first time she realized words don't really matter. It is the emotions and the actions that come with being with the people you care about. Next day, she wakes up to the sun, and her parents are there, and it's a good morning. She eats with them, and as if she's leaving, she's like, "Yeah, I gotta leave. I have to." She has to find her former apprentice, her former student, and it's quiet for a little bit. And her dad goes, "Oh yeah, we did meet him. It was about 2 years ago." And she's like, "What was his name?" And she's like Rudeus. He's like, "Yeah, Rudeus. He showed up with two other kids." It's hilarious that they call RJ and Eris kids. I think her mom, I can't remember how old her mom is. Her mom is like 100 something. So he's probably slightly older. I think it's really funny. But he tells them about Eris and RJ, and she's like, "Wait, he was there with two other kids." And he's like, "Yeah, one of them was a soup herd," and she starts freaking out. She's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. Soup herds aren't all that bad actually." And she faints and falls down. So this was made up to be funny, but it again hammers home how deathly afraid of this race of people that no one has seemed to ever have met they are. I know the hidden reason and the connotation behind it because I did my own research into this series. I tend to do that once I start to either like or get interested in something. I kind of want to, if it's been out for a while, like this franchise has, I kind of just want to see where this could go. Pretty interested in seeing if they're going to choose to go that route. But regardless, um, they're about to see her off on top of one of the giant lizard thingies and holding hands with her mother. Excuse me, very touching, very very wonderful. And she's saying, when you come back, bring Rudy, bring Rudeus with you. Her mother's all smiling with blushy. They don't think they told her. They didn't tell her that Rudy basically said, "Yeah, I'll marry Roxy. I want your daughter's hand in marriage." So she's smiling with a blush face with her head tilted. Roxy then kind of I think she gets what she's saying and tilts her head and smiles. And her dad's just like, "I forbid it. Hell no." We get a nice little laugh between mother and daughter, and she's off back to the demon town with that cool ass spire pillar thing. Like that's pretty interesting that it goes up and there's like a capital. It looks like a castle capital thing up there. But she goes to the room. Ella, Ella, how do you say her name? I think it's Ella Anise. Ella Anise. She's there. We don't get to see this, but we can hear. She's having some sexual intercourse with some lucky fella. But there's more than one person there because Roxy just has her normal look. She's like, I'm back. Oh yeah, you're back. I'm not gonna imitate the moans. She does the ice pelt move, blows up another room, has to pay another fee, and Eloise is just laying on the transport. Like, I don't know why you're gonna keep doing that. She's like, why do you keep having so many people? She's like, I like it when people watch. Once we get to the real reason why she does that, you guys' minds are gonna be. I'm pretty sure I might have spoiled it like 3 or 4 reviews back, but you guys aren't gonna remember that. Your minds are gonna be blown. Anyway, Talahan is wondering what's their next move. She's saying, well, we need to find Lilia, Aisha, and Zenith. No one's been able to find them. What about your student? Well, now that I know Rudeus is okay, because the thought she was having on the way back to the hotel room was that she should have realized that the dead end group would be named after the dead end superb. And she's saying no one would be foolish enough to take that name, but it sounds like a thing Rudy would do. Rudy would befriend this guy and somehow take the name to spread the name around. And she's wondering, like, he must be super amazing at this point if he got a superb to join his group. So now that she knows that he's okay, they're gonna go search further into the demon lands, the parts that other people haven't searched yet, to see if they can find the other girls. And that is where our episode ends. Next episode is going to be called Route Selection or Route Selection, however you choose to say that word. Such a wonderful episode. I keep saying over and over again, episodes build on top of one another. Reunion, by far the best episode because we've gotten this far. It's been a crescendo. We're building back up to a crescendo because Rudy still needs to meet up with Sylvie. He still needs to meet up with Roxy. Looks like dude has himself a harem going on here. If you know, you know. And we're gonna build up to when he meets with her again. It's gonna be interesting and fantastic. We're still in the early years, so I'm man. Only really good shows can do animes. And only really good animes can do what other really good like live action shows do. There was implied fighting, but we didn't need to show it because it's so character driven. We got to learn more about her backstory, and it was very organic how it happened. I appreciate that now we understand why Rudeus was able to be drawn to her, because while he didn't want to go out, she didn't want to stay in, and by some great happenstance, if it wasn't for the fact that he made it there and was able to talk to them, I don't think that we would be at this point. I think her mother had been on pins and needles for 2 years ever since Reed said, "Yeah, I studied with your daughter." Fantastic episode, as always. Oh, I am not looking forward to whenever this show needs to take a break to do season 2 because I mean, come on. And I know I forgot to mention earlier on the intro song. They always do the intro song with moving parts. The intro song was played during the people challenging Ruijerd to sparring. That I love it. I love it. Please keep that up. But as always, let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comment section below. Um, I'm pretty hopeful that next episode will have a little bit of action in it. Now I thinking on it. I want to see some action. Definitely want to see some action. So let me know what you thought of this episode in the comment section down below. Give me a like. Those likes actually really do help so we can push and promote these videos out there. If you aren't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell if you are, if you are subscribed so you can get notified of every time we do these great videos. I'm doing Mushoku Tensei every time it comes out. As always, share the video so other people can see what a interesting and great time we're having. I deeply appreciate each and every one of you taking time out to spend some time with me. As always, be good, be blessed, wash your hands, wear a mask. Be good to yourself, be good to others. Either way it goes, don't be a jerk. You're not alone, and I will definitely see you next time.